Good morning, my friend, and welcome to the Good Girl Syndrome show. I am so happy to be here with you today. Today, we're doing the Sunday version of what we did on Wednesday with Anke. Anke, if you haven't seen the episode yet, Anke was talking about how she gets frustrated or upset by the remnants of her good girl syndrome. And so she was kind of trying to navigate through all of that. And so today I was thinking for the Sunday episode, what I could do is share a little bit about my own journey with good girl syndrome. How it used to be, how it's now, and like my whole relationship with the frustration that Anke was talking about of like what I named the growth spiral. The fact that when you are growing and you are healing, it doesn't go like this. Like it's not linear and it doesn't always go up. Sometimes it feels like you're going backwards or down, right? And so I want to talk a little bit about that. So if you're interested in this, please stay tuned. If you are interested in seeing my coaching episode with Anke, that is the previous episode. It will be linked in the description box if you're interested. If you do not know me, because it's possible you do not know me, my name is Vander Meulen. I'm half Belgian, half Greek. And I am an empowerment coach for high achieving women. That's the label that I use. And I have specialized in what I call good girl syndrome, hence this show, right? And so I have developed a whole theory and framework and some tools that I apply in coaching to help women, one, understand what good girl syndrome is so that they can better recognize themselves. But two, also provide tools and strategies in how to get out of that, right? And so the Good Girl Syndrome show is one of those things, right? And I think that's it. I think you know me, you know what this is going to be about. If you want to show me some love, please do. If you're enjoying this episode, if you enjoy the Good Girl Syndrome show, or if you're just like me, that could be too. You can show me some love. I always appreciate it. It can be as simple as recommending this to another friend, liking the video, commenting below, writing to me if you're in any of my other, if you're on my social media, if you're on my newsletter, whatever you feel is right for you. I always appreciate your love and your encouragement. And thank you to all those of you who do give me so much generous feedback and encouragements and so on. Top of head, I have Maryse who always sends me beautiful messages. Thank you, Maryse. And I have Anya as well that I just talked to, and I know there's many more. Whenever I think of you guys, I will drop your names so that I can say a little hello to all of you. I think we're good. Let's start. So I took a few notes here, and I just, wondered about a few questions of like that could make me riff and think about these things out loud, or like questions that you would be able to ask me around, my own, if not symptoms, but like how I outgrew good girl syndrome and how it still shows up in my life, and what are my feelings about my growth journey. The first thing that I would say is if we go back to Anke's episode where she was very frustrated and she wanted for, her hope was to kind of, I have healed this thing. I have worked very hard. I have done therapy and coaching, and what more do you want? Good girl syndrome. Like, can this be over yet, right? And I really loved that episode and Anke's question. Thank you again, Anke, because I could so relate to that. So in this stage of my life, less so, but up until I would say 2-3 years ago, perhaps a little more, I was constantly hoping and wishing that like that was the very last step, and my journey of growth and healing would be over. Like that was my mindset at the time, which is understandable because when you start a journey, at least for me, you'll see if it resonates with you, but for me, when I used to start growth journeys, I saw it as like a project. I'm going to take 2 months. I'm going to, hyper focus on this thing. I'm going to figure it all out. And then it's out the door. So I never have to deal with it again. Like that's how I went into the door. I would never have gone to therapy if I understood that I would have been to therapy for about 2 years in my life. Might still go at some other point in my life. It's beautiful, beautiful work. If you haven't done so, I not a therapist myself, right? So I'm not self-promoting, but if you ever thought about this and you needed a nudge, this is your nudge. Go for it. It's a beautiful, if you found a wonderful therapist, it's a beautiful experience of self-understanding and self-discovery and so on and so forth. However, I had zero interest in that when I first began. I was not the type of person. It's ironic that now I'm in this space and self-improvement and self-development is like and healing is like the thing that I adore the most. Because when I first began, I didn't want to go back to my past and see, stuff from the past. I was more a type of warrior type of girl. So I just wanted to move forward and like get through the thing and, and now what I do for a living is like going in the depth of like what's going on inside of you and inside of me too, no? Funny how life is sometimes. But yeah, so my approach to all these different things, coaching was the same, seminars was the same, is I went to them because I wanted to fix me, right? If you take it like that. Right. I know you know what it means, right? So not too much self-worth there, not too much self-love in it, not too much compassion for myself. None of those things. I could see that there were issues with me, is how I framed it, and I wanted to fix it. I wanted to fix me. So that's how I got in the door of therapy and coaching and all these different things. And I kind of never got out. Like I stopped after some point. I stopped therapy because I felt like that part of my journey was not, I was not interested in that work anymore, of like always going back to the past, on a regular basis and analyzing these things was less my thing than coaching was, or like self-improvement, me being able to do that at my own pace, depending on what came up in my life. I got really, really, really into that. Hence why I'm doing all of this. And yeah, it kind of grew it kind of grew into me that I was like, oh, so actually you kind of never stop growing and you kind of never stop healing, and that's a good thing, right? So I used to perceive probably as Anke, right? I'm making a projection here, I'm not absolutely sure, but that's what I understood from the what she said. You'll forgive me, Anke, if I'm saying words you haven't spoken, but that's what I had sensed, that Anke would have loved for the process of unbecoming a good girl to be over. And my perception nowadays is that any part of the healing process, any part of a growth process is never really over. Now, does that mean that, for Anke or for me, if Anke doesn't want to be a good girl anymore, I think most of the time, 80-90% of the time, or even more, 99% of the time, it's possible for her to behave as something else than a good girl. I don't know what it is for you, Anke. For me, it's like a bold girl or a fierce girl, something like that. Something along those lines is what, makes me all fiery and all happy. But you have to see what it is for you, the antithesis of a good girl. But I would imagine that some of those patterns, right, will still be there. And by that, I mean, not just the bad one, if we can label them like that, the negative ones or the destructive ones, but also the positive ones. Because in any identity that we have, even the ones we do not like, even the parts of ourselves we do not like, they served a purpose, and they are or were skilled at specific things. And perhaps nowadays we don't, we don't value that anymore, but they're still there, right? And so some of the things usually will stay with you, and it can be mostly the good parts, right? And so for me, when I think of how I view good girl syndrome, whenever I do an interview, there's always a moment where someone will ask me like, so are you still a good girl? Like, do you still have good girl syndrome? What are you now? Are you a bad girl? These types of things. And I always find it very, very funny. One, because I'm silly, so I take everything. You could tell me the weirdest things and I find it funny. But also because I'm thinking it's kind of a beautiful way. Like, I'm happy that people ask me that in the beginning of an interview, because I'm thinking, oh, that's a good way to go into it. And so my answer is always, yeah. I am a proud good girl now. Like I am a good girl in a sense that like I'm choosing to be one. Like there's a lot of things that for me and my values, it might not be the case for you and your values, up to you, my friend, right? But for me and my values, I really like being a good person. Like it's part of like traditional values that I've inherited, mainly from my great grandma and my mom and so on and so forth. It's not just about being a girl who's good. It's about being a good human being. And to me, that gives me a lot of joy and a lot of pride in who I am, right? And also a lot of purpose because I love being kind and I love being, contributing and generous and all these things, right? If I weren't a good girl, I wouldn't be doing this right now, this Good Girl Syndrome show. I do it because I really, 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 really want to have an impact on as many women's lives as I can, even if it means for me being a little uncomfortable and posting online and doing all of these different things, right? The trade-off is there. And I choose to, impact over, the discomfort of being visible because I'm quite introverted and shy and all these different things. But I choose it because it makes me happy, because it makes me feel proud of myself, because it's aligned with my values. And my values are related to me identifying, for the most part, as being a good girl. Now, what has changed, however, is that the way that I was raised to be a good girl is very different from my own definition of being a good girl now, right? So my advice, if it comes in there, is like the idea is when you come to coaching with me or when you do these sessions with me, my goal is not to transform you into someone you're not. And my goal is not to transform your values in a way that does not correspond to what you want. My goal is to strip away all the different patterns and ways of beings and thoughts and like all the things that you don't want, that you don't like, all the things that are imprisoning you, that you feel like you should be doing, right? All the obligations that come with identifying as a good girl, right? Um, but then if your goal, and most of the women that I coach, they remain in my definition of like the evolved, right? The evolved good girl, they all become an evolved version of a good girl. And they're not the same as me. They have their own, there's variety there in the world, but it's like every single one of them redefines who she really is, right? And what she really likes, what she really wants, and like what are the rules for her lives, right? What are her principles, like all of these different things. And so they kind of redefine what it is to be a good girl, or what it is basically to be themselves. And if that is a good girl, then that's up to them, right? And so that's kind of what I do for me, is that, and that's why I think the journey never ends, is that in my own journey now, for the most part, right? I am going to be very honest that me working on patterns and identifying things is a daily thing, right? One, because it's it's my job, and therefore it's also my bias, right? I'm sure you have your own profession or your own passion, and you tend to have, to look at things from that specific lens, right? It's the same for me. So I'm lucky enough, or unlucky, depending if you like it. I adore it, so it suits me. But I'm lucky enough that then me living my life is kind of always making me think of, my principles, good girl syndrome, my coaching, me evolving as an individual, thinking about life more generally. Yeah, all these different types of, growth in general, like all these different things. And so my work now is mainly to keep, how can I say that? Like, I feel like who I am is someone I really love right now. I really like who I am right now. And I know that a big part of this person that I like is a good girl, right? And I know that for the most part, how I've constructed my life, because to me, it's really a building process. It's not something that happens overnight. At least it's not how I do it. It's not how I do it in my coaching. It's more a continuous process of like unpacking things, like opening up what's inside of you or inside of me, and then removing all the stuff that doesn't belong to me, like all the stuff that I've inherited from society, all the stuff I inherited from my family, all the stuff I inherited from previous boyfriends who had specific opinions, right? All the stuff that I've inherited from just my friends living their lives, right? All the stuff that I've inherited from my own crazy mind who created crazy stories out of I don't know where, right? It's not always about other people. Sometimes it's just the person who's inflicting these things upon myself is just me. And that's useful to recognize as well. And that's kind of the work. It's like removing anything that doesn't belong. And then it's bringing in everything that I want to bring in. And in this process, I find that both these processes, the taking things out and the bringing things in, both of these things evolve over time and go deeper over time. So in my own life in the beginning, when I was understanding this whole idea of being a good girl and stuff like that. What it looked like to begin with was I rejected pretty much everyone in my life. It was a very painful period of my life. Because I did not know how to do things differently. So I practically rejected pretty much everyone in my life because I needed space, because I realized that the way that like me continuing these relationships at the time, if I were redoing this at this stage, I would not have done it like that. But that was the level of sophistication that I had at the time. And also I really needed the space, and people wouldn't give that to me. They thought they understood me better than I did, these types of patterns, a little bit controlling. And so they didn't do it on purpose. They didn't do it from a bad, like their intention was good, if you see what I mean. It's just that when you're in a specific family or in a specific environment, like we all have specific dynamics that are already ingrained, and it's very hard to break free from those. And so because I realized that I did not have the strength on a daily basis to be having these fights and these like frictions and these, I felt like I would cave. That's how I felt. If I didn't remove everyone from my life and figured out who I was, and then started putting people in one by one and rebuilding those relationships, which is exactly what I did. So a long time ago now, like it's really a long time ago now, I don't know, 6-7 years ago, something like that. That's what me, starting my process of unbecoming a good girl looked like. So I disappointed everyone around me, which if you're a good girl, you know how painful that is for you, right? For me, it was extremely painful to do that, to disappoint all the people in my life. And to make them feel like that's what was my sensation. I always cared, right? Anke was saying that I still care too much was one of her things. I care a lot too about everyone in my life. And I'm always thinking about how will this person feel? I have this default in my mind, right? It's part of the things that I have been pruning. I didn't want to remove it because there's a part of it that I really, really love. That makes me what I think it makes me a good person, a very empathetic person. Part of it I wanted to keep, but I didn't want to drown in it like I used to. So that period of my life of removing everyone really helped me redefine who it is that I really am, and who it is that I really love, and what it is that I really want, even the types of relationships and so on and so forth. However, even when I integrated people back into my life, it wasn't a process of like one time, right? Because old patterns would come back because I had changed, they had not, right? Number one. And also my own patterns, like in contact with these people, but also just in contact with my life, I was like, oh, it's like, this is a new pattern. Like I had not realized that was, for example, I had never realized for my whole life, I think I understood that 4 or 5 years ago, that I was really a perfectionist. To me, I was someone who was clumsy and chaotic, and like I identified like that, more the creative type of person, right? Who's all over the place. I know that I can be very organized and put things in a specific way, but I had never identified as a perfectionist. But it's true that I've always really loved doing things really, really well. And so one of the reasons why in my career I've grown so fast, I've talked about this many times on social media, is I've never felt like it was because I was particularly intelligent. I do not dismiss my own intelligence. I think I'm doing good, if you see what I mean. Like I have enough proof to know that my mind is working well. But I also didn't think that it was because my mind was special. What I always knew is that it is unbearable for me still to this day, right? Again, I will tell you about the choice of keeping this trait of mine. It is unbearable for me to not be really good at something. And so what used to happen before, I can't remember who it was, a few episodes ago, someone was talking about that she was afraid of moving forward. She was in analysis paralysis, all of these different things. That's how I used to be. Because then I always wanted for everything to be so, so great that like I never took the bold actions because I didn't want to put myself out there because I was so afraid of judgments and all these different things, right? So I had not realized all these things about me. And it took me years into the process to understand, oh, isn't that a little bit of a... And sometimes it also requires other people pointing that out, right? Because what can also happen if you're a high achieving good girl, which is what I am and who I tend to attract, so probably you too, is that we have patterns that are destructive, but we also have very, very high achieving and smart coping mechanisms for them. And so we know how to perform really well, which hence why many of us at some stage of our lives, we can feel this big disconnect between what we project to the world, like how people perceive us and how we actually feel, right? Because we know how to function, like we hyper function, right? And so we can continue to like be doing all the things. So, for example, my perfectionism didn't show as much in my work. It looked like excellence, right? It looked like I was always striving for excellence, which I was, right? But it didn't look like I wasn't doing 1,000 things because people are not in my mind. They don't see that I have 100 ideas a day, right? What they see is, oh, there was a task to be done. It has been done. It has been done on time. All good. She's doing great. She's doing phenomenal. When inside of me, I have been redoing this thing 115 times before I gave it away, right? And when I arrive and I give the paper, I look all smiling and everything is going well. But 2 days after, when I was having exams, for example, when I was doing my PhD, everything went so great. The moment was phenomenal. Everything's fantastic. I should be happy when it's done, and I am not. I was so not happy. I was going back home, and I was like brain dead for about a month, because I was so exhausted of all the stuff that I had done. So all these different patterns that I had, now in my life, they don't appear like that anymore. So I'm not someone, if you see me now, most people tend to say that I look, that's how they perceive me, confident or courageous or very brave and bold and all these different things. And I think it's kind of true, right? Part of it is true. But it's mainly because I've reinterpreted like the patterns, some of the patterns are still there. So I still want my work to be really, really good. Like it is painful for me to be like seeing right now, for the past month or so, I've been rewiring my strategy on social media. So now I'm posting every single day. And I knew that the risk is when you start posting every single day that, there's not going to be as many likes and there's not going to be on every single post, right? And so I'm faced with this thing now, which to you might sound ridiculous. But to me, it's like every single day I have to like prepare myself to be like, okay, let's start this day. Let's post the thing and know that no one is going to like it, and let's keep going with this thing. And it still feels extremely painful to me. Like every single day when I see my metrics, I am so obsessed with my metrics, by the way, perfectionism, high achieving, like all the patterns. I adore watching my little numbers, my KPIs, all my things is like magic to me for this little nerdy mind of mine. I love it. But also because it tracks my growth. But it also means that the old version of me would have looked at those metrics and every single day I would have been depressed. I would have wanted to give up. I would have done it anyways because I wanted to be I still wanted to do the thing and so on and so forth. But there would have been so much friction inside myself before, to the point where a long, long time ago, like 15 years ago, I would have been depressed and stayed in bed all day because I would have been, what's the point? You're a nuisance to the world. You don't know anything. You can't do, very dramatic things in my mind, but very real things. I'm making a joke out of it, but it wasn't funny. Like in my mind, I was feeling really, really miserable because of how I was talking to myself and how I was treating myself, right? And so flash forward to now, the thing is still there. The self-critical little thing is still in my mind, and the thought of like I should be doing better is still there. It's still there every single day, but it's a little thought that is like a little whisper now, right? That's how it feels. And then I can be like, okay, well, that's that. But I also know that I have proof that everything that I've built before that has worked and that is beautiful, right? All of those things started with me doing very uncomfortable things for a much longer period of time that I wanted to be doing, right? And then it worked, right? Because of repetition, and I got better, and the word got out, and then that's how it started, right? Each and every single time that I've done something that I'm really proud of and that I find is impactful, it required a lot of discomfort from my part and a lot of being okay with looking terrible in a way of like not being good or like not being as good as I would like to be, right? It's part of the deal. And I understand that now. So the little whisper can still be there and tell me, this is not good enough. You're ridiculous. You have like who, delete all the stuff because like everyone can see that you have 0 likes on this specific reel, all the thoughts are there. It's what I do with it, but it's in a larger context. That's not the whole of my mind. Before it used to take, if we're going visual here, like it used to take the whole space of my whole brain, right? And my body could feel it. And it was like this whole experience. I felt like my whole life was this negative thought. Now it's like a little whisper that is annoying, like a mosquito, right? That keeps coming when you're trying to sleep. The same thing in my mind right now. So the scope, the intensity, right? The how much it comes and how much it defines what I actually do is extremely, extremely, extremely small, right? I hope that makes sense, like how I'm explaining it. But it's still there. It's still there. And it's okay. Like if it's still there, I can live with a mosquito in my ear from time to time, There's things like that in life that are little inconveniences. They're part of life. And I can deal with that, right? I'm an adult. I can do that, right? And at the same time, I also am not going to give up. Like if there's any chance that this mosquito can come once a year or once every 5 years or disappear for the rest of my life, I'll keep trying to make it disappear, if you see what I mean. So I keep continuing to say like, okay, no, like this is not, okay, I hear you, but no, I choose to not listen to you, like little critical voice. I choose to focus on all the other things, right? I choose to focus on like the beautiful message that I received this morning from this one friend who says how much she loves me, and how I changed something in my social media posts on Instagram, and she told me something really kind. She noticed that I had done something that was a mistake, and she was like, hey, you might want to change it. And I did. And so this morning, she was kind enough to send me a message, say, I love the change that you made such a huge difference, and such a kind message. The result is I have 2 more likes on average per post. Just to give you an idea, right? That's the difference that it's making right now on my things. But hey, it's 2 more, right? It's 2 more, right? That's how it works. And so now I'm happy with the 2 more. I stopped feeling entitled to my success, you know what I mean? And to my growth being super high. I have become very appreciative of myself and of life and of any type of growth and of any type of joy. And so my whole landscape in my mind right now is like, I'm not going to beat myself up. Like I have a whole day ahead of me. I'm not going to beat myself up all day. Like I'm going to try to come back into a beautiful mood. I'm going to do the things I love. I'm going to remember that I live in this beautiful home, right? I'm going to remember that my body is working really, really well. Like there's so many people who have like an illness, who have things that are debilitating and stuff like that. I don't. All I have to focus on is myself, my family, my home. Like that's really a blessing, right? I don't want to take it for granted. I have a wonderful little dog. He's right here. My little Leo, little Chihuahua, he's right here, always next to me, always wants to give me some love, always wants to play with me. I can see that. And like all these are things that make my inner world very positive, but also that make me feel proud of myself because I chose that little dog. I chose him and I love him right. You know what I mean? Like, yes, he's wonderful on his own and so on and so forth, but I also feel like that was a marvelous choice, right? And I have a reminder of that. And then when my friend sends me the message, right, I can feel like, oh, cool, I did something great. But I'm also really, really happy and proud and grateful that I have this wonderful friend in my life who takes her time. She's a very, very busy businesswoman who has kids, who has 1,000 things going on. And she takes time out of her day to give me a little, you did great, right? Like, how cool is that? And that is also partly me. I know how to choose my friends right? All these different things. And then I can think, you know what? I'm actually really proud of myself because I'm the type of person who, right? That's how it starts. I'm the type of person who, it doesn't matter if people are not liking my things, I still continue. Like I am brave enough to keep like doing the uncomfortable thing that most people won't do, right? And then when I start to feel these types of things, you have to see what's right for you. But for me, these are the types of things that fire me up. If I remember how blessed my life is, number one. Number two, if I remember how well I'm surrounded, like I have the best fiance, I have the most incredible little dog, right? I have my own best friend inside of me. My clients are absolutely phenomenal. They're all women that I adore, that I could be friends with, right? My family is incredible. I have the best relationship with them now. I have the most amazing friends. Like it's like I'm good, And if on top of that, I can remember that how I'm living my life is not dictated by the results, right? That like I'm not someone who gets discouraged and gives up, but I'm this type of woman who's bold enough and proud enough and like can find the grit inside herself to be doing things. To me, when I think of that, I'm like, okay, no, okay, now I remember. I'm Julie. I'm doing great. You know, life is good. No, so whatever works for you, my friend. But I'm giving you silly examples from my own life just to show you how my patterns show up. They're still there, and I still consider myself a good girl, and I like being a good girl, and I want to continue being that because I think she's a good person, right? I'm a good person. But the good girl in general, she's a good person. The only issue with her is that she's doing stuff not that she wants to do, but because she thinks the world wants her to do. She's afraid of judgment, so she does specific things. People emotionally, you know, who are emotionally immature will throw tantrums and different things, and she will feel bad about it, and she will, you know, instead of giving them back their responsibility, she will take everything in and she will try to make them happy. Like, and so she will become a people pleaser. Like all these different things. She will exhaust herself because she's trying to do the things she wants to do on top of all the things that everyone else wants her to do, right? And so she's exhausted, or she gets, you know, she gets sick or whatever it is. These are the patterns that I want to remove from myself and from others. I'm not trying to remove my whole identity. I'm not trying to remove all of my values. I just want to check with myself on a day-to-day basis. Am I good with me? Is there something that I can make even better in my life, right? Is there something in my life that right now is feeling like, ugh, I'm doing it out of obligation and that's not what I want to be doing? And that's what my path is now, right? Most of the times it's very peaceful. Sometimes it's not, but most of the times it's very, very peaceful. And it used to be so dramatic, and now it's so peaceful, right? And it was one of my intentions. It was one of my intentions through my healing journey. It was at some point I realized what I really want is peace, inner peace. I don't know if you love Kung Fu Panda. It's my favorite. It's my favorite animation. There's this turtle called Uguay in it, and he keeps talking about inner peace. Inner peace, dinner with peas, if you know the reference of the movie. Told you I was a nerd. And so yeah, that's what I wish for myself and for you is inner peace. That you feel so aligned with you that most of the time, right? Not all the time. I don't know, 80% of the time, 90% of the time, you feel so aligned with yourself that you feel at peace. That's it. That's all I have to say. That's my own guiding light on my own path. That's where I am right now. And that's what I truly wish for you. Whether we ever cross paths or not, that's truly my wish for you, is that you feel so good within yourself, that you feel so aligned with the life that you have created, that 80% of the time, right? Not 100%, not 110%, but 80% of the time, you really love you and you really love your life and you are really proud of the actions that you take. That's my wish. I think that's it, my friend. I think I covered it all. I think you have a little, you know, insight on my own good girl syndrome journey. If I hope this was useful, helpful in any way possible. If you are interested, I have the newsletter that will come out actually today. That comes out here with this video is all about an integration exercise to help you put all the things that I'm talking about today and I talked about for Anke on Wednesday. We put them in practice for your own life in my Sunday Sanctuary newsletter. So if you're interested in that or in any of the other resources that I have, please go check the description box below. There's all sorts of resources. There's the newsletter, but there's also quizzes. One of them is completely free. It's one to see if you have good girl syndrome, and it tells you what type of level you have of good girl syndrome. It's quite insightful, gives you some first awareness of where you are. If you're interested in that, please go check that out. And as always, thank you for watching. Thank you for spending your precious, precious time to be with me. My dog is unhappy. Actually, let me show him to you. Since we're at the end. This is little Leo, a very grumpy Chihuahua who has no teeth, but also the love of my life. We're saying goodbye to you, both of us. Have a beautiful, beautiful day, and we'll see you on Wednesday. Bye, my friend.